Hello, everybody. My name is Roberto Martinez with the Money Boy Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this podcast, wherever you are, whether you're listening to on YouTube, whether you're listening it on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and many more. Thank you guys so much for watching today's podcast. If you guys are liking this podcast, please make sure you go down below and hit the follow button so you guys never miss another podcast. Today's podcast is a special one, and it's something that I feel like I need to address. And it's something that I feel like is important. I've always said that I'm not afraid to talk about the topics that are important to me. And I'm not afraid to talk about the topics that I feel like need to be talked about. And I'm never going to waver. I'm never going to be afraid. And I'm going to talk about the topics that I feel like that need to be addressed. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that I feel like we should talk about. We have a company inside the United States currently that are being decisive, that are frauding customers, that are lying to customers, and are getting away with it. And that is Dish Wireless Boost Infinite. And they have been getting away with it for a while now. And I was one of their victims. And they thought they were going to pull a fast one. Well, I pulled a fast one back onto them. And immediately, when I realized what they were doing, I immediately told them they can take their iPhone and shove it up their ass. And I told them I'm going to port my number out immediately, and I'm returning this iPhone. And I guess they just thought I wasn't going to do that. They thought I wasn't going to go and deal with all the nonsense that it was going to be to return this iPhone. And they said, oh, yeah, you're going to have to pay for return shipping too. Okay, big deal, $20. Woohoo! I'm really going to go and cry about $20 it cost me to go return the iPhone. So biggie, I'm returning the iPhone. Go ahead, next one. And they made it seem like it was going to be a big hassle. So what? I'm returning the iPhone. And let me just get right into what happened, okay? If you go to boostinfinite.com/plans, and you go ahead and go look up at that right now. Go to that website right this second. Look at the infinite access for iPhones, okay? And it's a $60 a month plan. And the biggest thing is look at near the bottom portion of that plan, and they say access to America's smart network, and then right underneath of that they say smart switching between 3 5G networks. There's no access. There is nothing there. They are insinuating that you're gonna have access to America's smart network and you're gonna have access to 3 5G networks. They're both lies. You do not get access to them 3 networks unless you live in a Dish Wireless market. So if Dish has not built a 5G network yet, you are not going to get access to the ability to switch to between the 3 networks. You're going to be stuck on, let's face it, most likely AT&T. And depending where you live, that could be a bad day. Because quite frankly with you, is they told me before I signed up, I checked the coverage map. I was supposed to have 5G coverage, which yes, I would have 5G coverage if they assigned me to the right network, which they did not. And honestly, I was expecting the ability to smart switch between the 3 5G networks, right? That's what they advertise. It's on every single advertisement. If you go on Facebook or any website where they advertise Boost Infinite, they advertise the ability to switch between the 3 America's 5G networks, and which is AT&T, T-Mobile, and then the Dish network. That's incorrect. False information. It does not happen unless you're in the small portion of America that has access to Dish's network. If you're not in that small portion, you're not going to get the ability of the smart switch. And you're only going to be at the mercy of the Dish's computer system that assigns you to whatever network it fears is the best in your area, which could be wrong. And in my case, it was wrong. It assigned me to the AT&T network, which is not the best in my area. I had 1 bar of LTE. And online, so I was supposed to have 5G, which, yes, I would have had 5G if it signed me to the T-Mobile network, which I would have gotten full bars of 5G and 66, and I would have gotten 800 megabytes per second download speeds. But besides the point there, and that's not the point. That's not what I'm trying to get here. The point is, they're advertising access to America's smart network and then smart switching between the 3 5G networks. And when I brought that up to them on the phone, I said, you're advertising your service and you're not providing it. They told me there's nothing we can do about that. That's not available everywhere. Okay. Why have you not fixed that correction on your website? Why is that still on your website? Why is that features you're advertising when you sign up for an iPhone? That's what you're going to get, but you're not providing that to every single iPhone purchase. Why is that a feature only available in select markets? You're frauding customers. You're lying to customers, and you're getting away with it because nobody has had the balls to stand up to you and say anything. All the tech YouTubers haven't said nothing about this. Nobody has stood up to you. Nobody has even talked about this because, quite frankly, nobody on YouTube has talked about this. I'm literally the first person in the media who has a platform who has talked about this. This is wrong. And I'm not the only customer having this problem. This is widespread issues that Boost Infinite, aka Dish, has gotten away with. And no one has said a word about it. This is wrong. This is dead wrong. And Boost is just getting away with highway robbery, frauding customers, and just getting away with it. They tried this with me. They tried it. And they thought they were going to get away with it. And when I asked them, switch me, port me to the better network, do anything, get me on the network at least so I have service. You know what they told me? There's nothing we can do. And you know why? Because they get better pricing per gig from AT&T than they do T-Mobile. So they refused to port me to T-Mobile because I would have been perfectly okay. If they would have put me on T-Mobile, I probably would have been okay. But then again, I wouldn't have been fine. I still would have been on this platform right now making this podcast calling them out. Because I always fight for the customers. I fight for you all. I fight for every single individual in America for what's right and what's right. Because at the end of the day, if you're advertising features and you're not being transparent about where it's available and you're advertising this on your advertisements nationwide, because I see this every single day on Facebook in my area, and you're targeting my market for these features and you're not available, you're doing it wrong. And there's very ways you could target certain markets. If it's only available in certain markets, you should make that clear in your advertisements. Not only that, you should make your website where you can easily do that, where it's only advertised in the markets that you serve. And you're not doing that. And if you go and check their coverage on the website, as I said before, and you go ahead and type in my zip code, okay, you're going to quickly see it says I have 5G in my area. And the network they put me on had LTE. And they asked me, how did you know you were on AT&T? Because I'm not a goddamn moron. And they were asking me, how did you know? And we had a quick conversation. I was like, well, my background is information technology. And the lady on the phone started asking me questions. Well, what do you have your degrees in? And I told her, I said, wow, I can't believe that. Wow. And then she's like, well, and she started asking me questions. She started talking about the tools she uses, and she was like trying to tell me that I was a liar about how AT&T should have more towers in the area. I was like, ma'am, I'm staring at a T-Mobile tower right in front of me. I know what I'm talking about. I'm literally staring at a T-Mobile tower that's right outside my window. I know what I'm talking about. So I was like, I know where these towers are located. I have tools from consumer area that tells me where these towers are at. I know where these towers are at. Like I know where they're located. I know where the AT&T is at. It's like 3 miles back the other direction. Not even near my house. It's more west. I'm looking at the tower. It's east. It's like not even a half a mile away from me. That literally, there's no trees, nothing. I can see the tower directly, like not even a half a mile away from me, ma'am. Like I know what I'm talking about. And they're like, oh, we can't do anything. Okay. Well, why is your competitors are able to port simultaneously, almost instantly, from one network to the other? Other carriers are doing it. Why can't you? It's incompetence. It's the inability to have success. And this is why Dish is failing. This is why Dish Network is failing. It's why Boost Mobile is losing customers at historic rates. It's why Boost Infinite's going to fail. And it's why Dish is going to fail. And quite frankly with you, I say within 2 years of time, the reality is they're going to go bankrupt. I won't even say 2 years of time. I think by the end of next year, they will be bankrupt, and somebody of like AT&T is probably going to purchase the assets and the customers, because the quite reality is, like, practices like this, defrauding customers, lying, and when customers call you out on your lies, you do absolutely nothing. I literally was on Reddit. I was talking to their customer service rep they have on Reddit, and he wouldn't answer any of my questions. It was a bunch of lies. It was a bunch of bullshit. And I was calling him out. I said, you shouldn't be advertising this. If you can't provide this in every single market, you shouldn't be advertising this then. It shouldn't be on your website if you can't do this in every single market. You can find ways. You can do this if you do it right. This is great technology if you do it right. I understand if you can't have it in every single market. But don't have your advertisements targeting every single market if you can't do it right. Don't make promises if you can't do it in every single market. And then when a customer calls you and says, hey, the network that you put me on isn't the best network in my market. Can you move me to the different network? That's okay. Or if a customer calls in and says, hey, you lied to me, I want that smart switching feature, you should do it. Because it shouldn't be that difficult. You can easily do it within seconds if your tools are correct, if your tools are designed correctly. If you have competent IT people that made your tools correctly, you can easily fix these problems. The problem is they don't have competent IT people. And at the end of the day, these practices are why Dish is failing. It's why Boost Mobile is failing. It's why Boost Infinite is failing. It's why Dish was hacked literally not even a year ago. It's these type of practices. It's why this company is going to fail. I'm telling you right now, if you're part of Boost Infinite today, if you're part of Boost Mobile today, I'm telling you right now, it's probably in your best interest to find a new carrier, because they're not going to be allowed wrong if they're doing these type of practices. Find a new carrier, do what I did, and transfer and port out your number immediately. These type of practices aren't going to last long. My name is Marty Boy with the Marty Boy Podcast. Thank you so much for watching today's podcast. If you guys like this podcast, give it a thumbs up if you can on the platform that you're watching on. And check out my socials at socials.martyboy392.com, and have a great day.